Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Yesterday the Overwatch 2 reveal event thing went on and we learned a lot of different stuff about the future of the game. Obviously we already knew some stuff from some things we got earlier this week, such as the fact that the PvP aspect of the game will be releasing on October 4th and that the beta will be kicking off on June 28th and will include consoles. But now we have some more information about all of that type of stuff, as well as some more things. Of course, Junkerqueen. So I'm going to break down some of those things. The reveal event itself was broken down into two halves. The first half was really talking about Overwatch 2, is kind of an overview of the game. And then the second half talked specifically about Junkerqueen. And so I'm going to kind of do a similar style of thing here, where I'll kind of break it down into two halves. Give you my thoughts on everything we learned, things that I like, things I don't like, stuff like that. And we'll talk about it. So I'm going to base a lot of what I talk about on this image I'm going to throw on your screen here, which really just kind of gives you the overview of things, and then we'll kind of go from there and I'll build on stuff as we go. So, of course, the overview things: free-to-play live service, reimagined PvP, a seasonal model, cross-progression, and the PvE experiences. So let's just start with the obvious, simple thing, the first thing here, the free-to-play live service, right? This is a huge change to what the game is right now. Of course, the game is a game you pay for. You pay to play Overwatch. You have to buy the game. Once you buy the game, you don't have to pay any more money to play the game, anything like that. But you pay up front, and then you get access to the game. Moving forward, that won't be the thing. You just can play the game. You can make a new account, and you don't have to pay for it. You just play the game. And this comes with some changes to the way that certain things work, right? So historically, Overwatch 1 is a game that has a loot box system, and Overwatch's loot box system, ironically, is kind of the one that gets thrown in as the flagship loot box system, the one when they talk about how bad loot boxes are. They always use the Overwatch loot box in the image, even though the reality is Overwatch's loot box system is the most user-friendly system because you can get loot boxes just by playing the game. Most other games, you have to just buy loot boxes, and then you don't know what you're going to get. And while Overwatches still are something you don't know what you're getting with them, they are specifically something you can unlock just by playing the game anyway. So loot boxes were definitely something that were criticized a lot in the gaming community, and even legally, governments were very critical of them. So it's no surprise to see Overwatch making the move away, and instead basically saying you can get what you want, exactly what you want, by just paying for it yourself, right? That is how you can get things. And so they're moving over to a system we see in a lot of other games, which is a battle pass based system, and a system where there's in-game currency. And so now they're basically saying if you want to buy something, you can just go directly to the store and you can buy it. You don't have to try to pull it in a loot box. Obviously, Overwatch has already had that system in place where you can get coins and stuff by getting duplicate items and stuff like that. And so over time, you would kind of unlock stuff just by having coins, pulling loot boxes, stuff like that. Seemingly, that's going away now. I'm curious to see if the battle passes will include in-game currency, because they are moving to a new in-game currency, as seen with something we'll talk about here in a second. They're moving to Overwatch 2 virtual currency, which seemingly is something that you will get through playing the game in some capacity. My guess is you will get it through the battle passes, or you can purchase it directly and then use it to buy skins, emotes, whatever, directly, which is something that I think is definitely in line with a lot of what we're seeing in other games like Fortnite, like Valorant, League of Legends, Apex Legends, stuff like that. You can just kind of buy stuff directly. You don't have to get it through loot boxes. And while Overwatch, you can, quote unquote, buy stuff directly, you technically buy stuff indirectly, because you would buy tokens and then you use those tokens to buy something. Whereas I guess in theory, you would still be buying virtual currency and then using that virtual currency to buy whatever you're buying. But you don't have to buy loot boxes anymore. And I actually don't know if you could buy coins in Overwatch 1. I think you had to buy loot boxes, and then you'd maybe get stuff in them, and you get coins just as rewards. So we'll see how any of that stuff carries over. I doubt we're going to see coins, and we're obviously not going to see loot boxes anymore. I assume all, if not most of that stuff, or most of that, all of that stuff is just going to be gone. I don't think we're going to get anything with that. So that's kind of the big thing with the free-to-play live service, how it's going to work, how it's going to be monetized. Like I said, anybody can play, and so if anybody can play, that allows you to kind of have that ability to jump in and play with friends. Cross-platform still being a big part of that, and cross-progression, of course, ties into that. It's one of the later things, but obviously the goal now is something that we didn't see in the addition of crossplay to Overwatch 1 was the fact that you could you could play with someone on PC if you were on, say, PlayStation, and then you could move over to your PC game, but it wouldn't have the same things between accounts. So they're changing that now so that it'll all be together. So that's a big thing as well. That's a huge change that I think is really, really good. And more of the stuff they're doing kind of in line with other games like Fortnite, like Apex Legends, etc., is this kind of seasonal model where everything is done in seasons, right? And they talked a lot about what you kind of have with stuff like that. I don't know if it'll line up with competitive. I would imagine it probably will. That if I had to guess, the seasons are going to be competitive seasons as well as content seasons. So you'll have season 1, season 2, etc., and those will probably line up, which is something that people have been very kind of critical of the Overwatch team in the past, is that competitive seasons always feel very meaningless because there's not really anything that differentiates us, season 1 from season 2. It's, meta changes and stuff happen, but usually there's not something that really makes the season feel unique. And I think when you have this seasonal model where you most likely will have competitive seasons line up with that as well, I think you're going to see that those seasons do have unique things because they each have their own battle pass, they each have their own content that comes out with each season, and so seasons mark something instead of just kind of arbitrarily beginning and ending when certain things happen, which I think was the biggest problem with the seasons that we saw in Overwatch 1 and the competitive seasons. And so these seasons, they have talked about being 9-week seasons. So the first one, of course, will kick off October 4th when the game launches, and it will come with 3 new heroes, 6 new maps, over 30 new skins, plus the new battle pass, the new mythic skins, which I'll break those down in a second here, and a new game mode, of course, which is push. One of the issues is, in this type of thing where it's a new game mode being push, even though push, of course, already exists. You've played the beta, you've played push, so it's not really a new game mode anymore. It's a new game mode to the game, technically, because the game isn't out yet, but when they say new game mode, that's what they're talking about. And so you kind of have to look at things through this lens of anything they're talking about being new when the game releases on October 4th is stuff that we already have or will already have in the beta. Or we, already know it's stuff that's coming to the beta, right? So those 3 new heroes, 2 of those are Sojourn and Junkerqueen, who have already been teased, or not even teased, have been shown off, and we know Junkerqueen's coming in this next beta on June 28th. Sojourn, obviously, we've already had in the first beta. And that 3rd new hero is going to be Asa, the Fox character, who is confirmed to be a support hero. They mentioned in the live stream that we're getting a support when the game launches. So we're getting 1 tank, 1 DPS, 1 support when the game launches on October 4th. We're getting 6 new maps, which we have already gotten 4 of them, to my knowledge, in the beta already. So obviously, Colosseo and Toronto as the 2 push maps, Midtown as a hybrid map, and Circuit Royale as an escort map. They revealed that the next map we'd be getting is the Rio de Janeiro map, which is another escort map. Or is it a hybrid map? I believe it's a hybrid map, now that I think about it. I think it's a hybrid map. And then they also revealed a 6th map in this thing, which is a map based on Portugal, which is another push map. So we're going to have 3 push maps at launch, plus 1 additional new hybrid map, and then, or 2 hybrid maps with Midtown and Rio de Janeiro, and then 1 escort map with Circuit Royale, plus presumably all of the maps from Overwatch 1 that are still, the game modes of which are still in the game. So all your hybrid maps, all your control maps, all your escort maps, and then the 3 push maps. Then the 30 plus new skins we haven't seen yet, the new battle pass, which if you are someone who has the who has Overwatch 1, one of the rewards you get with that like Founders Pack is a battle pass. I don't know if it's a unique battle pass or if it's the like premium battle pass. I think it's a unique battle pass. I don't remember exactly what is in it, but I think there is a battle pass with that. They've already announced one battle pass thing already, and I'll talk about that here in a second. So that's kind of the big stuff that you get like with the game and the way that the game itself is changing, monetization and stuff like that. That's kind of all that stuff is. The other things are, of course, the way that they're changing PvP, which is moving to 5v5, which you've already gotten to see before. And then the big thing that they talked about at the end of this kind of first part was PvE, which is that PvE will be coming in 2023. We basically already knew this because that was kind of the thing about how the game was kind of delayed to 2023, which now we know is really just the PvE is getting pushed back. So that's what happens there. So that's kind of the general overview of that type of stuff. And then they talked about kind of what we could expect in some of the later seasons. In Season 2, which would be in December, or December 6th specifically, we'd get another new hero, which would be a tank hero. We get a new map, more new skins, another new battle pass, and another new mythic skin. Now those mythic skins are going to be a level of skin above your legendary skins. And it seems to me like what they were describing them as are essentially legendary quality skins where you actually have the ability to customize them a bit. You can change some of the colors and stuff like that on the skins, which are something you can't do currently with any of the skins in the game. You can get alternate recolors for some skins, obviously, but this is specifically skins that you get to control how they look. They also showed off charms, stuff like that, similar to gun buddies that you have in games like Valorant. So they showed stuff like that off. And then, of course, they're talking about in 2023, more new heroes, more new maps, more new skins, more new battle passes, more new modes, and then the beginning of PvE. It seemed to me that they were implying that PvE will continue to go down this same path of constantly pushing out content for PvE, but they specifically never mentioned anything about PvE being a paid experience in this event, which to me was interesting because I expected them, if they talked about PvE, to say, and PvE will be kind of something you pay for to play. But they made it seem like it is not going to be something you will pay to play. They made it seem like it is going to actually just be content that they just continue to push out over time. Like maybe we don't get the full story right away, which I don't really like if that is the way they're doing things. But I think we're going to have to wait a little bit longer before we know exactly what the goal is with PvE and how PvE will be structured. But it did seem to me like PvE is going to be a free bit of just kind of further content as the game develops. But we'll have to wait and see what happens when 2023 rolls around. As we get closer to PvE, we'll probably learn more. So I'm going to reserve any judgment or final thoughts about PvE because I think we probably are just getting a little bit too like broad strokes about what it is, because I don't think they're ready yet to kind of dive deep into PvE and talk about what it really is yet, because we have seen stuff about it, but we haven't seen it in essentially 3 years at this point. We really haven't seen anything PvE related since the original announcement of Overwatch 2 when we got that look at that first mission. Everything since then has been PvP focused. So there's a lot of things to expect to potentially change for PvE over time. So that's kind of where I draw the line with that, where we kind of don't know what to expect yet. I think my biggest kind of criticism of what we learned today for this part of it, Junkerqueen generally I thought was very, very positive. So I'll talk about her in a second. But I think my biggest criticism of what we learned in this kind of first half was it really felt to me like they went all in on making the live service game, giving us all this kind of like cosmetic content right off the bat. 3 new heroes at launch seems to me pretty poor, especially considering we'll probably between, it's June, right? And if the next beta, assuming we have another beta before the game's final launch, only having 3 new heroes and presumably the third hero will be playable at some point in a beta prior to the October 4th launch. Going to the full launch with only those 3 heroes that we presumably will get in betas feels like not a lot to me. I look at Valorant, which had a 2-month beta, and when the game fully launched, there was a new agent and a new map. And we might not even get new stuff from the beta to the final official launch in Overwatch 2. It's possible that we don't get this Asa hero at all in a beta, and we just get her at launch. And it's possible that, say, the Portugal map is not in the beta at all, and so we won't know what those are like until the game actually has that official launch. But to me, it is a little worrisome and somewhat noticeable that it seems like we're only going to have those 3 new heroes that we already know about, and 6 new maps we already know about, which is going to create potentially an issue where we're just going to be seeing things look kind of at launch. It'll be like definitely some cool stuff. It'll be a very different looking game. And I don't want this to come off as me like complaining. Like, they're giving us content, and I'm happy with the content they're giving us. But to me, it feels like if you're going to go from beta to launch, and the difference in content between the beta and the launch is purely cosmetic content, that to me is concerning, because I feel like you have to differentiate the beta from the actual game, which I don't think we have seen any evidence right now of that being a thing. Now, one of the things that they didn't really dive into in this reveal event was that beta in particular. They didn't really talk anything about what we're going to expect in the beta. Now, they did put out a Q&A about the Overwatch 2 beta, which kind of has some information on it. It's a Q&A, kind of goes over some things. So I figured I would break down this information in case you missed it. I'll have a link to this article in the description down below, as well as everything I've talked about today will be linked in the description. But the next beta kicks off June 28th, and it'll be running until July 18th. So again, not a very long beta, which is why I once again say presumably there will be another beta in the future with probably the Portugal map and Asa in the game. This beta will be on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. You have to opt in again. So even if you've got access to the first beta, you have to opt in once more for this one. There's no guarantee you're going to get in. That's something they kind of talked about. Nothing rolls over in terms of like unlockable content, stuff like that. Now, I would imagine that this makes me wonder a couple of things, right? They don't talk at all, because they didn't really talk about the beta, about stuff like what is going to be different in this beta other than like Junkerqueen and Rio. If you watched my video where I talked about some of the things I want, right? I talked about the fact that I would like to see them put in the new cosmetics and the new hero designs and portraits, make them more uniform. We didn't get any kind of announcement or news or anything like that. We haven't seen, really, to my knowledge, any footage of the beta. We don't know what to expect from that side of things. So for me, I'm just kind of curious to see what we get when the beta rolls in, because they haven't really said anything about it. But if you're somebody who wants to play the beta when it comes out, June 28th, and you want to ensure you're going to get the beta, whereas before you could ensure you got in by watching those streams, this time around you can ensure you get your beta by spending $40 on the Overwatch 2 Watchpoint Pack. Now, there are multiple things that come with the Overwatch 2 Watchpoint Pack. That is not just access to the beta. I will link to the PC page in the description in case you want to check that out. You can see what stuff it comes with. But it gives you immediate access to the Overwatch 2 beta. You get 2 legendary skins when the game launches, which are Space Raider Cassidy and Space Raider Soldier 76. There will be the Premium Battle Pass for Season 1, which they don't mention anything about pricing for that. You'll get 2,000 Overwatch 2 virtual currency. Once again, no idea what the pricing is for that. You'll get an Overwatch 2 player icon, which is like an early purchase exclusive thing. And then you'll also get access to Overwatch Legendary Edition if you don't already have it. So that is something that is there if you want it. You want guaranteed access. I, right now, am hesitant to purchase it for 2 main reasons. One is we don't know what the monetary value of the premium battle pass and the currency is. And so I don't know if $40 is a good deal or a bad deal because we don't know the cost. We don't know what those things will cost in the actual game. And so I'm kind of hesitant. And I already have the Overwatch Legendary Edition, so buying the Overwatch 2 Watchpoint Pack doesn't have the same value for me because I already have the Legendary Edition. And it's not like the type of thing where if you have Legendary Edition, you get the game for, you know, you get the thing for less. It's still the same price. Maybe I don't have Legendary Edition. Not thinking about it. Maybe I have the other edition, but I don't remember what they were. I know there's like Legendary Edition, and there was the other. That's like a million different editions at this point in time. So who knows? But so I haven't bought that yet because for me it's kind of like, is it really worth buying that right now when we don't know the actual cost of stuff like Legendary Edition and stuff like, we don't know the cost of stuff like the currency and the Battle Pass. Until we learn that type of stuff, to me, it's I'm a little bit iffy on actually buying this thing. But like I said, I'll link to it in the description when I check it out. Beta Q&A, I'll link in the description, and I will link to the reveal event recap in the description, as well as the actual event itself if you want to watch anything that they have in there. Final big thing, of course, is Junkerqueen. They showed a lot of stuff with Junkerqueen. They showed her kit and her cinematic. I'm not going to talk about her cinematic because, to be completely honest with you, I don't particularly care about her cinematic in that regard of like breaking down what happened. I thought it was a pretty good cinematic. It's not my favorite cinematic they've ever had, but it was pretty good, I thought. So, generally speaking, I was pretty happy with it. But Junkerqueen, tank hero, very interesting looking hero. I'm very excited for her when they add her in. Her story's pretty interesting, right? She was thrown out of the wasteland, or she was thrown out of Junkertown to the wasteland as a young child, comes back, becomes the queen, overthrows the king through the reckoning, which is like a big, like, I don't even know how to describe it, battle royale type of thing, and then she becomes the Junkerqueen through that. I thought she looks really interesting. I definitely am interested to see her in action when the beta drops on the 28th. Can't wait to see what people do with her in the Overwatch League. I don't know if she'll get any playtime. I thought her abilities seemed very interesting. Her knife kind of very similar to Roadhog. Her ability to put like a wounding effect, very interesting. She might be a bit of an annoyance to play against. I hate Roadhog as a hero. He is my least favorite hero in Overwatch. So that does concern me a bit that she may be very similar to Roadhog in the way that she can hook and pull you, and just I think she had an ability to heal herself based on like certain damage that she does. So she's an interesting hero, definitely. I'm curious to see what she's like, but her similarities to Roadhog do me a little concerned because I hate Roadhog with a passion, and I do not like playing against him. I don't like when he's on my team, so we'll see what happens with Junkerqueen. But at least Junkerqueen and Roadhog look very different, which I think is pretty funny. But yeah, that was kind of today's news, or yesterday's news, today as I'm recording this video. Like I said, interesting stuff. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in this next beta. Definitely want to share my thoughts when we get more into that type of stuff. Hopefully we see some of those improvements to stuff like the graphics or like UI, stuff like that, which I thought was kind of lacking in the first beta. We didn't really get any news about that, like I said, for the second beta, but hopefully we'll get improved looks at all that type of stuff once the second beta drops here in a couple of weeks. Definitely interested to see what happens, so we'll just see where things are when we get there. But let me know your thoughts down below on this reveal event. Let me know if you enjoyed it, if you thought it was good, thought it was bad, if you thought that it was lackluster or anything like that. Let me know down below. If you're excited for Overwatch 2, let me know as well. I think one of the things I might do now that we know there's only 3 new heroes at launch, they did do a little bit of a tease about kind of what we can expect in terms of heroes that we know about in the lore, heroes we don't know about in the lore, potentially becoming these new heroes. I think I'm going to make a video at some point here in the next month or so about characters I'd like to see as new heroes in Overwatch. Obviously, I've done that multiple times in the past. We have news now about, new heroes. We've seen some new heroes, so that list can change. Some of the heroes that I wanted, like Junkerqueen and Asa, are characters we're going to get. We know we're going to get them, so now we kind of have some more characters we can look at based on some of the information we've gotten in comics and short stories and stuff like that. So that, I think, is a video that I will be making in the next month or so. I'll kind of look into some of the lore, some of the characters, and do something like that. That's going to be all for me for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, want more content like this in the future, consider liking and subscribing. Hope you're all staying safe and staying healthy. And until next time, bye-bye.